of impact. Let's go. Hey folks, Apostle Lewis here with you, and I want to talk about 2022, not in prophecy ways. I'm going to do that Friday night at my house, and Sunday night with Todd we'll be talking. And what I really want to do is tell you and teach you and maybe give you some help on being prepared as an individual, for me as a father, as a family, as a I have a ministry, I have a church, I have a lot of different things that I do. And they're not all the same. They don't all require the same things in me. So I have to have a plan. And, I think a lot of Christians take that plan of like, well, I'm just going to be the best person I could be. You can be a great person and not actually fulfill what God has given to you to fulfill. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about goal setting. I want to talk about, vision casting. I want to talk about having a plan for yourself, a vision for yourself, and how do you go about that daily? How do you? So I'm talking about some very basic principles in goal setting, and then I'm going to talk about goal setting and projects and what do you want to achieve in this new year. And I'll be sharing with this on Friday night at the house with those who are able to make it. We'll be talking about the Gate Church and goal setting and what we have planned for 2022, and what I have a vision for and all that. I'll explain some of my reasonings behind that and do that there. But I want to do this here just with you on maybe you want to pull out a pad, take some notes here, because I'm going to teach you how to get from where you're at to where you want to go. And, I think a lot of Christians think, well, I'll just pray. Okay, that's good. I mean, that's good. Every Christian should pray. What separates what separates, do you think, the ones that you know worldwide and the ones you don't? Do they pray harder? Do they what is it that makes them achieve at the level they do that might cause you to think and go, okay, how do I get to a more effective level in what I'm doing? And so I've been a goal setter since about 1990, when I started studying leadership and personal development and all that. And one of the books I've often recommended to a lot of my leaders is John Maxwell's Developing the Leader Within You. This is a book on being a leader. And I just wrote a couple of things on what is a leader. Now, you could be a leader as head of the household. You could be a leader as, I've been a leader in every position I've been in, even though I haven't always been the one in charge. And this is very difficult for some people to understand. They think a leader, by the way, being a minister and a leader are two different things. Being a preacher, someone who preaches even every week, does not make you a leader. It just makes you a preacher. A leader leads. Okay? And if you're not leading, but just preaching, but you're not actually leading, where you are leading people to a destiny, then you're not leading. You might be teaching, but you're not leading. Leading is different than teaching. Leading is influence, but it's influence with purpose. It's influence of getting people to where they want to go. When you look at leaders, to me, Donald Trump, Bill Johnson, Elon Musk. I mean, Elon Musk has 100,000 employees. They don't show up at work and come up with their own stuff to do. Okay? When they show up at work, they have a goal out in front of them. And they all are working to that goal. Even though they didn't all set the goal, Elon Musk has. Okay? But they have all bought into the goal. They work for that goal. They're excited. Every time I watch a SpaceX launch and I see all these young people launching a rocket and being so enthusiastic about it. I'm awed with that because that's the next generation. And he is doing such a great job of giving vision to a young generation of engineers, of physics, I guess it would be physicists and stuff like that. He's giving such clear vision to manufacturers. That's phenomenal. What is it that you need to do to even have just to start growing in that? All right. And when I used to talk to my friend, I still talk to him, but years ago, me and Andre Thomas, he's out in Barbados, we would sit there and we would have these phone calls and talk about my personality, his personality. We'd sound things off each other all the time. And I remember him saying, "So Lou, you are like high in these areas. And if you don't have people that are high in those areas, it's going to be frustrating for you." One of the high areas I am is leadership, personal development, personal responsibility, personal growth. That's huge for me. That's huge things for me. And so those people who don't want to take personal responsibility, don't want to achieve anything, don't really fit in my circle. I love everybody, but I can't run with them because they're not running anywhere. So I put on here what is a leader? Is it someone who preaches? Is it someone who, by the way, not all leaders actually run companies. Some of those are managers. Let me give you an example of this. The absence of Steve Jobs at Apple led Apple to near bankruptcy because even though there were people in charge, none of them were leaders. They were managers. They made wrong decision after wrong decision of every step of the way. Okay? You've had this happen with companies that the wrong guy or woman, man or woman gets in charge of the company and it goes disastrous. Let me just give you an example. President Biden. He's not a leader. And because he's not a leader, everyone else is doing what they want to do in the government. And the government is screwing up left and right because it takes more than position to be a leader. And this not just of one position, 2, 3, 4, all the way down. If you don't have a goal, if you're not setting goals, or by the way, if you're not following the goals of the leader. So that's how I was always a good leader, even when I wasn't in charge. I would find out the dreams, the direction of, it doesn't matter if it was New Life. It didn't matter if it was Randy Letchner, Kathy Letchner, Dan Duke. I talk about where do you want to go? And then I help them go there. That's what I did. And so, Kathy would always go, you need like 10 of you, that's what you want. Because that's what I did for people. And so not everyone understands that. But serving isn't just me showing up to me. Serving had to do with, was I helping that person achieve the overall goal that we've all signed on to? Listeners like Randy had a school. What was Randy's vision for the school? Well, I sat with Randy for 4 hours at his pool with a yellow pad just asking him questions so I could pull out where he wanted to go. Okay? Because I would say we have to know where we're going. All right. So here's some questions you got to ask yourself. Where are you going? See, if your goal is just to go to conferences, what for? Now, I love having encounters with God, but what are encounters for? Are they for me just to go be a conference junkie? Or do I want to go somewhere? Do I want to achieve something? When do you want to get there? You better know that. You better know where you want to go. When do you want to get there? You also have to ask this. Jesus said this. You have to count the cost. Evaluate what it's going to take to get there. For me, to get where I'm at, meant giving up some things. Stuff that I can actually add back in now. Haven't fully done it yet. But I gave up golfing on a regular basis. Why? Because study, prayer, because I didn't have, a bunch of time. I was serving 4 ministries at one time, plus my own business, plus my own job. I was busy, 110 hours a week. So I had to be very goal oriented. I had to be very, very precise because I didn't have a lot of free movements. I didn't have a lot of free time just to waste. I had to be very focused because it required me to extract the most out of all the time that I was spending. Because for one ministry like Catholic Lectures, I only helped her once a month. But that once a month, I want to make sure I was helping her. For Randy, it was once, 2, 3, 4 times a week. For Dan Duke, it was once a month. For New Life, it was every time they had service. So I had to have goals. I had to know where New Life's goal was. It was different than Randy's goal. It was different than Dan Duke's goal. But I was able to, when I served them, to step into that goal for them. I didn't come in there and try to do my goal with them. I didn't come in there and go, well, I'm going to go in this direction. I didn't. I never do that. All right. So those are things that are tough for some people to really grasp. They go to church, but they're going to church. And one of the reasons why people get dissatisfied at church, because they never assimilated into what the church's goal was, or maybe never bought into it. So good teaching isn't the reason to go to church. That's not. Go and achieve something. All right, with the people you're with. Why do people not have goals? And I've asked this question. Well, I don't think people believe they're biblical. I think some people believe that what we're supposed to do is just be led by the Spirit all the time, in a sense of we don't have any goals. The Spirit's just leading us. But did Jesus have goals? Did Paul have goals? Did Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, did they have goals? Did Moses have goals? Did God give Moses goals? Yes, he did. Did he give him a vision? Yep. Israel to be in the land. This is how you're going to do it. He gave them goals. By the way, if you read the Bible, there's been goals set. Jesus gave the disciples goal. Take this gospel throughout the world. Start in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the other. Do you know why? Listen to this. Do you know why they end up in Samaria in chapter 8 of Acts? Because Jesus told them to take this gospel from Jerusalem to Judea to Samaria to the uttermost parts of the world. Okay? That's what Jesus told them. Guess what they were doing? They were following that plan. Jesus had laid out goals. He had laid out a map for them of how to expand and where to expand the kingdom. What happens if they said, we're not going to Judea, we're not going to Samaria? Okay? Would the grace have been there? Would the anointing have been ready for them? Listen, so it's verse 8, chapter 1 of Acts. But you shall receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you shall be witnesses to me in Jerusalem, in all of Judea, and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. When they start getting scattered, guess where Philip goes to? Philip goes to Samaria. And that's the first place. Listen, that's the first place outside of Judea that we have testimony of the gospel going. Why? Because in Acts chapter 1:8, Jesus said, go to Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and then the rest of the earth. And that's what they did. Paul comes along and he's taking it to the rest of the earth. Did Paul have goals? Absolutely. Paul says, I have plans to come to you after the winter. I have plans. He would sit there and say this. He was making plans. But he would always say, if the Lord be willing, because, to be honest with you, Paul didn't know if he was going to be alive or dead in a month, right? But he had plans. See, it's not about, well, you don't know what tomorrow brings. You can't plan. No, you can plan. And if the Lord takes you home, the Lord takes you home. If the Lord changes it, the Lord changes it. But he doesn't sit there and say, don't plan. You have to come up with your plan for your future. And so that's, what I do all the time at the gate. And I've been really, really this whole year, believe it or not, thinking about what must the church do? What must we do as a church now in a post-COVID era? How are we going to reach people? How has things changed to the point that how do I make it reach more people? Okay. How do we do that? How do I have more impact? How do I spread the message more? And so I've come up with that plan. I'll share that in person on Friday night. And so I think for a lot of times people think, having goals is unscriptural, or, we shouldn't be that presumptuous. No, look at, so I want you to do. I want you to map a goal out. I want you to pick where you want to be in 20 years. I want you to pray about it. And I want you to throw a dart up on the wall. I want you to actually, where would you like to dream a little bit? One of the keys to goal setting is dreaming. Dreaming. I said this last week in a video. Dream again. Dream again. Where do you want to be in 20 years right now? Where do you want your ministry, your business, your family, your household, whatever it might be? Where do you want to be? You might have goals for your family and goals for your business. Goals for your, as a pastor, as a minister, I got goals for my ministry and for my church. What do I want to do personally? What's my goals to get that done? These are things so let's go off 20 years, and then I want you to pick about a 25% mark on that. Like, what does 25% of that look like? That's going to be your 10-year goal. Wait a minute. Should that be my half-year goal? Nope. It should be your 25% in 10 years. Why? Because it'll take more energy to get started than it will take you to exponentially grow the other 10 years. Okay? The space shuttle used to take about 90% of the fuel to go 3 inches off the ground, just to get momentum. Elon Musk, the reason he worked so hard to recover the booster rockets, he said because the booster rockets is 70% of the cost of space launch. 70% was in the booster rockets. By recovering those things, he is saving money on every launch versus the way that they used to do it in the old way with space shuttle. That's thinking. Then I want you to reduce that 10 down to 5 years. And believe it or not, that's going to be somewhere probably about 10% of your goal. And we're going to go from 5. I want you to bring it down to 1 year goal. I want you by the end of the year to have 1% of your goal met. Just 1%. Let's say if your goal is in 20 years as a family, and your savings account, you want to have $1 million saved up. Okay. That was your goal. That's a pretty good goal for, it's a big goal. Saving $1 million, big goal. Not earning $1 million, I'm talking about saving $1 million. We're just going to use it in money. That means at about halfway through, I want to have $250,000 saved up. You go, well, Lou, why? Why would you have more than that? Well, because of compound interest. Okay? Once I get to that point, that money is going to help me for the next 10 years, compound interest as I'm adding into it. I'm not going to have to put $1 billion in the savings account, am I? Because of compound interest, that thing should start growing on its own. Now I'm going to have to keep putting money in it. Now, you could go and calculate that out and figure out what you have to do to make that happen. But let's say your goal would be, let's say Apple. I've just listened to a book. Great couple books I've listened to, but this one is called Selective Creativity. I think that's right. Hold on. Creative Selection. And the guy's a little Darwinian in this, but it's by Ken Kacinda, and Ken helped write Safari, he actually wrote the keypad on the iPhone, the original iPhone. He's the one who came up with the keypad that we so use every day like it's nothing. Helped write the one on the iPad and other features on those things. He was an engineer at Apple for something like 2001 to 2015 or 16, 17, somewhere around there. And he talked about how they had incremental goals. Incrementally, they made goals. They were making progress, even though, like Safari, their goal was, just to make it the fastest server, the fastest web browser made. Okay, so they created a program that they could test it, load speed. So whenever they did a bug change or a fix on it or added a feature, they could run it and see how quick it was loading the page, and they could sit there and go, that was faster. If it was only a second faster, it was faster. And so that was meeting the goal. If it went slower, then they had to determine whether that feature was available, or could they offset that feature by speeding up code in another place, because that feature might actually take a lot of code. There's nothing they can do about it. Can they squeeze some speed out of reducing code in another feature? And they would do this until they came out with Safari about 18 months later from the time they started, and it was 3 times faster than any other browser. But every day they were making changes. So here we go. We're down to a year. Okay. What are you going to have to do in 6 months to get there? What's your year goal? So you've got to have some way of measuring whether or not you're on track. You have to have some way of measuring whether or not you're doing what it takes. Otherwise, it's just a fantasy. And I think most people get stuck with making goals because it requires so much out of us. And we don't want the image of failure in front of us. And our fear of failing, fear of not reaching the goal, keeps us from actually going after it. Go look at all the millionaires who failed and then became billionaires. Go look at Elon Musk. Go look at how many things that they failed at and had struggled with until he came up, now it's like gold. Don't think he didn't have obstacles. He had obstacles with Tesla. When he launched his rocket, the first one blew up. He had enough money to launch the second one. If it doesn't work, he's bankrupt. It's a true story. Joey tells me that all the time because Joey just is following that. Joey's learning how to invest. By the way, he does this when it comes to, baseball, just to get faster. Okay, he's not going to get faster by, a lot. Number one, you're not going to get that much faster, but he works at it. He's working at it of lifting and getting strength. There's all these goals he sets. Then I want you to get to 6 months. Then I want you to get down to a month goal. What am I going to do? Let's go back to that money. This is where I got to be here. This is where I got to be here. This is where I got to be. How much do I have to save in a month? How much do I have to save for 12 months to have that in the bank in a year? What do I got to do? Well, you have to save. Let's just make up a number. I got to save, $200 a month. Okay. Let's make it easier. I got to save $300 a month. If I want to hit that goal. It might be a lot, but let's just say, okay, that means I got to save $10 a day. I got to put away $10 a day. Now, obviously, if you're making minimum wage, this is not something for you, but I'm just saying, this is a goal. You can make it, instead of having $1 million, you want to have 100,000. Okay, now let's say it's $1 a day. Could you take $1 every day and stick it into a jar? Just take $1 out every day and stick it into a jar. Because that's what you have to do daily. I need to have $30 in the bank every month. So I just take $1, stick it in a jar. Can I do that? Can I stick $1 in a jar every day? See, when you break it down to smaller goals, you can't break them down to smaller goals if you don't know where you want to go. That's where do you want to be in 20 years? Well, otherwise, here's why. You'll put $1 a day, right? You'll put $1 away a day, but then you'll want a new car and you'll spend the money because you don't have a goal for 20 years. Your goal is not now. Let me tell you something. Millionaires don't believe that poor people and middle class believe. That is contrary to wealthy people. I've heard this from 2 billionaires. Your house is not an asset. It's a liability. It's an expense. It's not making you money every month. It's costing you money every month. We're told, at the middle class, we're constantly told that the house is an asset. It's not. It's told that way, so we'll take out loans on homes way above what we can afford because someone has told us it's an asset, but it's going to make the bank 2 to 3 times what they lend you on that. It's an asset to them. By the way, they own it with you until you pay it off. You owe $10,000 left, they owe it with you. You understand? So the point is who is it really an asset for? The one who it's making money. The bank isn't putting any money into that house every month. None. None. They put money into it in the beginning, and every month it's making the money. We don't do that when we have a house. We have to maintain the house. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have homes as investments. I'm just saying your home you're living in is not an investment. It's an expense because you have to upkeep that home. I have a home here. I paid $127,000. I put a new roof on it. This is my third air conditioner, my second one that I've put in. Okay. 3 water heaters. Okay. I'm getting ready to remodel my kitchen hopefully this year. All right. I got to do both my bathrooms. I've done the floors a couple times. I just put 112 pieces of sod out in my front yard. I dug out some crabgrass and replanted it, put some new lights out front, getting ready to do the back. All that is expenses. It's not, you go, well, that's investment. Nope, it's an expense. You go, well, that could make you money. It could, unless the market crashes. And then it doesn't. It's not earning me money month to month. That's what you have to understand. But the reason banks tell you that, the reason, because they want everybody to borrow money. So they sell it. Just like they sell diamonds as a girl's best friend. No, and diamonds are rare. Diamonds aren't rare. They just control the market. Diamonds are not rare at all. There are many more rare stones than diamond. But when they wanted to market diamonds to the masses, they came up with a good slogan. And that's how we get trapped by that. All right, so say your goals, 20 years. Let's go 20 years. 10. 10 is going to be about 25% of your achievement goal. Okay? 5 years, about 10% of your goal. Now, you might hit these early. Fantastic. But you won't hit them at all if you don't plan for it. That's the goal. That's the purpose. How do you gauge yourself? Okay? How do you gauge yourself? Let's say I'm in sales and I want to have 10 sales in the month. Okay? I can look at the numbers and go, to have 10 sales a month, it's going to take me about, let's just say, depending on the industry, let's say it's going to take 50 calls to get 10 sales, 1 out of 5, which would be a really good rate. But let's just say you got a hot product. Okay, it's going to be 1 out of 5. Okay, if I wait until mid-month and go, man, I only got 1 sale, and I go, oh, I probably have to now speed it up to make phone calls. How many know that I might not hit that goal because I didn't have it broken down? But I've got 20 days in a month. I got to make 50 calls. What does that mean? On average, in a week, I've got to make about 12, 13 calls a week, right? I can average that out to 12. I can do it easy. 5 days a week. I'm going to make 3 phone calls a day. That's going to give me 60 for a month. I'm going to make 3 phone calls a day. Now, I might find out more time for that, but my goal is 60 calls in a month. My goal of the 60 calls in a month is to have 10 sales. So I might have to make more, I might have to make less, but I can't because I know the math, because I know what it's going to take. Now, in my heart of hearts, I just put whatever it takes, right? That first week, I put in 12 phone calls. If I'm having no, I'm going to make more phone calls. I might have to adjust that because my goal isn't the phone calls. My goal is the sales, okay? You understand that? So I might have to make more phone calls. Then it might turn out that I can't make more phone calls because I'm getting 1 out of 3 sales. You go, why can't you make more phone calls? Because I got to service my sales. So if I make too many sales a month, I can't follow up on them in time, and I can't have the success I want, right? So you have to learn this, and you have to constantly evaluate what you're doing. You have to look at some data of what you're doing. And for a lot of people, they don't do this. A lot of churches don't do this. A lot of churches think because they're anointed, they're going to grow. And there's a part of that that's true, but that's not the only reason why they're big churches. I do believe big churches are anointed, but I also believe they are highly goal-setting churches. I look at Bethel, and I know Bethel's had goals. I know this because I went to 12 leadership advances. They used to call them leadership advances in 6 years. I went to 12 of them. Okay, I know they have goals. They have goals. They have a budget. You better believe they have goals. They're looking at how many students they can bring in. That's a goal. How many students can we have? That's a goal. If they go, we want to expand that, guess what they have to do? They have to get a facility. That's a goal. We got to get a bigger facility. They're building a church. They just broke ground and all that. They've been building this church in their heads for 15 years. You know what I mean? For the last 10 years, they've been going after this. After the last 10 years, they've been going after building this church. They just broke ground recently. And it's supposed to be ready in, I think, 2022 or something like that. I don't know. It's not even gonna be, probably 2024. I was going to say 2022, but that's this coming year. But I think that was their original goal, but COVID hit. Shut down everything for a year. So that did a lot of no good for them. And so what you got to do? Well, you have to reset your goals. Sometimes that's going to happen. Okay? Sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes we have to reset our goals. Okay? Don't reset your goals every day. Okay? But you have to look at, I want you to treat your life like you are the CEO of your life. And I want you to treat it that way. Okay? I want you to treat your life like you are the CEO of your life. You know, Jesus is, no, you're the CEO of your life. He's put you in charge, believe it or not, of your life. He's made you the CEO. He gave talents to men. He didn't tell them all what to do with those talents. Did you notice that? He came back to see what they did with it. I want you to treat yourself like you're the CEO. Moms, you're the CEO of the kids in a way, right? You and mom and dad, you're the CEO of the kids. Where do you want them to be in 10 years? Where do you want your kids to be in 20 years? If you're going to build a house, I have a spiritual daughter. She just went through a whole thing. She bought a house that had to be totally, redone, for the most part. And she's almost done. But there's been goals. There's been setbacks because of COVID. There's been setbacks because of supply issues and stuff like that. But it's almost done. They had goals. How many know if the electrician comes in and goes, well, I don't know, we should have this done. I don't know. How many know when you get your electrician bids, you want to know a couple of things. What's it going to cost? How long will it take you? Those are goals. Why? Because I can't get the walls closed up until you do the rough and electrical. And if you don't do the rough and electrical, then what are we going to do? And those are the kind of things that we struggle in the church. I'm looking at Bethel's thing right here. What an amazing building. It is a very, very nice building, and I know that it's really, really nice. Really, really, really nice. I'm looking at it. I haven't looked at this, but I had texted Bill earlier a couple months ago, and he said he was out at the site. They were doing videos. And so my question to you is, why is it do we struggle with that? And I think the reason we struggle with setting ourselves goals, I think we struggle with it because we're afraid of failure. Failure is something that is so gripping that the fear in failure can also be the fear of success. But a lot of people have a fear of failing. I'll say that quickly. And I get that. My question to you is, doing nothing is failure too. Remember the steward who didn't do anything with the talent. That was considered failure to the Lord. If you want more, I'm going to be setting up some coaching things on my website, lewisdcn.com. And I want to, I'll let you know when that's available, where I'm going to do coaching, setting up goals, talking about your dreams, talking about what you have for you to do. I would highly recommend, this isn't a goal setting book, but it's a leadership book, but I would recommend you also put on the hat of a leader. I did this when I started picking up this stuff when I was making $26,000 a year. Okay. I was 20, oh God, let me figure this math out here. I was 24 years old. Okay, I was making $26,000 a year, 24 years old. And is that right? Wow, that's such a long time ago. Wow, it is, man. It's so crazy. And I started reading about how to develop me. Okay. And I've made probably over $2 million in my lifetime. I now have preached in several countries. I now have seen thousands of miracles. I'm a leader of a church, leader of a ministry. I help out with other ministries. I take phone calls from around the world from people who need help, leaders who need help. That is because I have had goals in my life, and I want you to have them too. So I want you to think about those. I want you to really look into them. I want you to be purposeful in that. And I'm going to tell you this. The Gate is going to have some goals this year and a plan for the next 5, because it's time to build. And we're going to talk about building what the Lord wants us to build here in Jacksonville. And so I hope you're going to join me on December 31st. And then I'll be preaching on January 2nd. We'll see if I cover any of that then. But I want to set us on the right path for the new year. So God bless you, and I love you, and you have a fantastic new year. Bye-bye.